many blueberries this year, but the ones that have ripened right now are big and juicy, and these are going to be great in pancakes later on. It's just really early in the morning here at the allotment garden, and I'm picking some things for breakfast and also for dinner. So I've got blueberries that need picking. I've just spotted that some of the raspberries have started to fruit. There's gooseberries behind me, and then I also want to dig up some of the new potatoes from the no-dig potato bed and also pick some peas and cabbage. So today's all about just picking produce from the garden. I have this soft netting over my blueberries because last year I lost all of my berries to pheasants and birds. Not this year. So you can see on the bushes there's lots of berries that aren't quite ripe and a few that are. So you gotta come back every day or so and pick the ones that are ripe and then re-net them. There's a juicy one there. These are massive raspberries, and I grow two different types, but they're both autumn fruiting, so that means they come into their own in August and September time. But they always put out a few early fruit, and these ones are the best. The first taste of raspberries. It brings me back to my grandmother's house every time. She had these amazing loganberry and raspberry bushes, and when we were kids we would just pick them and eat them, and best memories ever. If you have children, definitely grow vegetables with them, because there is just something really special about those memories, and it brings kids back to gardening later on in life like it did with me. It's priceless doing that, as are these raspberries right now. So I'm going to pick a few to put in with the blueberries for the pancakes later. Next up are the gooseberries. And if you aren't familiar with these berries, they're kind of more of a European British fruit than you'll find in North America. They're about the size of a grape, and they have really fine hair on the outside. The actual bushes have wicked thorns on them, so you've got to be really careful when picking them. But they're really sweet when they're fully ripened, and they kind of have this gelatinous texture inside. And they're just so big. They're fantastic for making jam. You can make gooseberry wine, all sorts with them. Look at how gorgeous this cabbage is. I grew two types this year. So there's Greyhound that's out behind me, and then these I'm really impressed with. They're called Golden Acre, and it's my first year growing them, and I think I'm going to continue growing them because they're not huge, but the heads can get quite to a normal size. So let's take this one home with us. Look at that. That's a nice cabbage. I love sauteed cabbage. I love making sauerkraut. I even use the big leaves sometimes as well. Although if you don't like them, if it's a little bit too tough, you can just compost them. But this right here is what it's about. That nice tender head of cabbage. It's the moment of truth for the no-dig potatoes. I've just been letting them do their thing here, and they have this net over them that they've kind of grown into from the spring. Originally to keep the pheasants out because they were becoming a nuisance. I have a fork with me just in case, but the theory with no-dig potatoes is that you don't have to dig, that you can just lift them up out of the ground. Let's have a look to see if this works. So I'm just going to pull this aside. Oh, look. Oh, and that is why digging potatoes can be a bit of a hazard, poking holes in them with your fork. So I'm just going to put this aside because I've just spotted some just here. Look at that. Didn't have to dig at all. Here's another one. That's fantastic. Growing potatoes this way has been so much easier than I thought it would be. So this is just one plant, and I dug around here in the compost, which is really fine because it's just compost. I didn't really dig them in or earth them up that much other than with compost. And then from that one plant there, we got all of these potatoes. And that's more than enough for tonight. And then the other pro is that I was able to find so many of these little tiny ones. And ordinarily, these guys are missed, or some of them are, and then they sprout next year. So this way, hopefully, I'll be able to control volunteer potatoes from sprouting in this bed next year. Can you see that my little friend is back? Been picking lots of peas. These are going to be going with the sauteed cabbage tonight. But I can see that my plants are suffering a bit in all of this heat and drought. I'm going to give them a good watering before I head off. But I think that the days of peas on the plate are numbered. I'm going to make the most of it though. Tonight and over the next coming week or so, a couple of weeks even. Another thing about my peas this year is that the setup really worked. So I have a dwarf variety, Meteor, that I have growing underneath netting. And the netting has really kept them protected from pheasants and other birds. And I've had at least one person here at the allotment come up to me and confess that they didn't think that my peas would actually get pollinated and produce because I had the netting on. But as you can see from my harvest, it didn't deter the bees or other insects. So if you're thinking about using netting as well over your peas, it works. Time to pick the chamomile. It's really easy, but it does take a little bit of time. Just rake your fingers through and pull the flower heads off of the plant. You leave the rest of the plant to grow on and produce more flowers. Now, I think most of us have had a cup of chamomile tea at one time or another. God, that smells incredible. Like fresh apples, green apples, like Granny Smith apples. Chamomile has really soothing and calming properties, but for the skin it's really great as well. So it helps to combat free radicals, so it's used in anti-aging preparations, and it's also used to help brighten the skin and reduce the signs of scars and to treat acne as well. So when I dry this chamomile, I'll use it for tea, but I'll also infuse it into oil and also water to make creams and lotions and balms and kind of salves as well. I'm just popping them into a brown paper bag for now, and then when I get home I'll lay them out on a drying rack, a fabric one that I have at home, and let them dry for a couple of days before storing them. Calendula is also a really powerful skin herb, and when dried you can infuse the petals into oils as well, and it's a really gentle healing herb, and it's also used to help combat and treat the symptoms of eczema. So a really great medicinal flower to have in your garden. The last thing that I'm picking today are my favorite cut flowers, or homegrown cut flowers, sweet peas. And the more you pick them, the more they bloom, so all the better. Sweet peas are super easy to grow. You can grow them in containers, you can grow them in an allotment setting like this. They will eventually get up quite tall. They're growing surely and steadily, and there's a few different varieties in here, and I've got them all marked down below. This one here is the sweet pea Spencer heirloom mix, it appears. This one over here, this one is the white one here with the purple, and it's sweet pea Lady Salisbury. And I like all the different colors rather than just one or two, like a sweet shop mix. If you don't grow sweet peas already, put them on your to-grow list for next year. They are so easy to grow and they smell incredible. Beautiful. So I've got these I've picked today for my bedside table, and I've got quite a few other things. I didn't pick everything that was ready in the garden because I just couldn't handle it. If I took it all home, some of it would spoil. So I'm leaving some of it there. We'll come back tomorrow and the day after and start eating more of it as we go along, and freeze and preserve the rest. So for today, we have some berries and some blueberries here as well. Doesn't that look like the American flag? How did that happen? Blue, red, and white. Oh, that'll make a nice breakfast. And then we've got gooseberries, and I'm going to use these in a jam. The calendula flowers that I'll dry out and use for beauty products. And I might actually put them into some cupcakes as well. They add some nice color and just a really light, peppery flavor as well. Great in edible flower salads. I picked some rosemary just now, and this is going to go with the potatoes here and the cabbage for dinner tonight. I've got the peas here, quite a lot to shuck later on. And then I've got a bag of chamomile. There's quite a bit in here, and that needs drying as well. This is enough of a morning harvest for me. So I'm going to get this home, get breakfast on, make a cup of coffee, and get on with the day. I hope you enjoyed coming around the garden with me today and picking a few things. It is a fantastic time of the year for having an edible garden because you can basically live out of it, or live off of it rather. You just pick what you need, whip up delicious meals, and this is the time of the year that we all really live for as edible gardeners, as vegetable gardeners. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. That lets me know that you enjoy the video. Check out last week's video as well. I did two. Normally I just do a single video on a Sunday, but I did one last Wednesday as well, and it's about watering your garden and different tips that I give on how I keep my garden lush and green. And I'll put a link up on the screen so you can head over there and watch that next. In any case, that's it for this week. I will see you next Sunday here on the Lovely Greens YouTube channel. I'll see you then.